Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Or, if this is the first time you're listening to us, we're really happy to have you here. Because on this channel, we focus on helping you improve your English in a way that feels natural, realistic, and actually useful in daily life.
Yes, exactly. And our main goal is not to make you memorize grammar rules all day, but to help you feel more confident, more comfortable, and less stressed when you want to use English in real conversations.
So if you enjoy learning English in a calm and practical way, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the channel, because every day we talk about problems that learners face all the time, and your support means the world to us.
In today's episode, we want to talk about a problem that almost every English learner experiences at some point, and that problem is translating in your head before you speak.
And this usually happens when you know the words and you understand the grammar, but when you want to speak, your mind suddenly becomes slow, crowded, and tired.
What makes this problem even worse is that many learners think something is wrong with them, while actually this is a very normal stage in language learning.
Exactly. And today we don't want to rush into solutions, because first we need to clearly understand what is really happening inside your brain.
Alex, before we go deeper into the explanation, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever tried learning a new language recently?
Yes, I've been trying to learn Spanish recently, and honestly, learning Spanish completely changed the way I look at language learning, because for the first time, I felt exactly what many English learners feel every day.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, every sentence in Spanish first appeared in English in my head, and only after that I tried to translate it into Spanish, which made even simple conversations feel slow and stressful.
And did that affect your confidence?
Very much, because while I was translating in my head, I was also worrying about mistakes, and by the time I was ready to speak, the moment was already gone.
This is such an important point because many learners believe their main problem is vocabulary or grammar, while in reality, the real issue is mental overload.
Yes, because when you translate, your brain is doing too many things at the same time, and instead of focusing on communication, it is busy moving words between two languages.
Let me ask you something here. Do you think translating is always a bad habit?
No, not at all, because translation is a natural and useful step at the beginning, but the problem starts when learners stay in that stage for too long and don't train their brain to move forward.
So now that we have a clear understanding about the problem, let's start with the first solution, which looks very simple on the surface, but is actually one of the strongest habits you can build.
Yes, and that habit is naming the things around you in English without translating them into your native language first.
For example, when you see a chair, instead of saying the word in your native language, you simply say chair in your mind, and you repeat this process again and again over many days. You can also try to make little sentences about the objects, like, this is a chair, the chair is near the window, or I put my bag on the chair. The more detailed you are, the stronger the connection your brain builds between the object and the English word. And the reason this strategy works is because your brain slowly creates a direct connection between the object and the English word, which means translation becomes unnecessary. For example, if you always think chair when you see a chair, eventually you won't even need to translate it from your native language. It will just appear automatically in English. And Alex, I've noticed that even when I started with very simple things like pens or cups, after a week I could form short sentences easily in my mind without thinking about my native language first.
Totally. It may feel strange or childish at first, but this discomfort is actually a sign that your brain is learning something new. And a tip here is to include your daily activities, like I am drinking water or I am opening the window, which keeps the practice lively and connected to your real life.
The second solution is about changing the way you think in English, especially if you always try to think in long, perfect sentences.
Can you explain more? What do you mean by that?
Instead of forcing your brain to create complex structures, you allow yourself to think in short, simple sentences that are easy to connect later. For example, instead of one long sentence like, I am feeling very tired today because I woke up late and I need to go to work, but I also want to cook lunch, you can break it down into smaller chunks. I am tired. I woke up late. I need to go to work. I will cook lunch later. This approach makes speaking feel more natural, and your brain can gradually combine these small sentences into longer ones.
Ah, now I see. And this is much closer to how real speaking works, because speaking is not about perfection. It's about expressing ideas step by step. I also tried this while learning Spanish, and I noticed that by thinking in smaller steps, I could actually respond faster and with less stress.
The third solution is talking to yourself in English, not in a dramatic way, but in a very natural and relaxed way. You can do this anywhere, even while walking, cooking, or brushing your teeth.
Exactly. For example, when you're doing daily activities, you can quietly say things like, I need to leave now, or this is taking too long, or I am putting the milk in the fridge. The key is to describe what you're doing, how you feel, or what you are planning to do. Over time, your brain starts to automatically produce English sentences instead of translating from your native language.
And because nobody is listening, there is no pressure, which allows your brain to practice English without fear or stress. Also, you can add creativity, like imagining conversations with friends, or talking to a pet, or even a mirror. This makes practice more engaging and memorable.
Now let's talk about shadowing, which is a powerful technique that helps your brain get used to real English rhythm.
When you shadow, you listen to English and repeat it almost at the same time, which trains your listening and speaking together. For example, you can watch a short video, pause after each sentence, and repeat it exactly, copying the intonation, speed, and pronunciation. Later, you can try to shadow without pausing, which improves your fluency.
And the goal is not to understand everything, but to let English flow naturally into your brain. Even if you don't know all the words, the rhythm, stress, and melody of English will become familiar, which helps your brain to think in English more automatically.
The final solution is probably the hardest one because it requires changing your mindset.
Yes, because as long as you want perfect English, your brain will continue translating. But when you accept mistakes and allow yourself to speak simply, your brain feels safe enough to think directly in English. For instance, instead of worrying, am I saying this correctly? You just focus on expressing your idea. I want to eat. I am happy. I will go now. Over time, these simple sentences form the basis for more complex and natural speech.
And an important tip is to celebrate small successes. When you notice that you thought in English for a whole sentence without translating, acknowledge it. This reinforces the habit and makes learning enjoyable.
So today we talked about why translating in your head makes speaking slower and harder, and how you can slowly train your brain to think more naturally in English.
Remember, fluency is a process, and every small step matters.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us, because our goal is to help you use English confidently in real life.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.